Japan in 1950. Just three of the sponsors that have made this marvellous event happen. Oh, that's a shame. An issue for Dylan Tan in Kart 4. And there's also an issue, is that 35 there, Taiyo VLIEGEN of Thailand. So Dylan and Taiyo, problems in the pit lane as the rest of the field are on the formation lap with Timothy MIKHAYLOV in P1, same as he was in the heat. And EMILIANO up to P2. There's confirmation. QARRAR FIRHAND was P2 in the heats, now P7. How will he cope, the Indonesian, who showed glimpses of brilliance? And Max HOELLMANN of Germany down in 13th. And another mention to our only female driver competing today, KATRINA EE, kart number 13. Keep an eye out for her. She put in a great drive to finish in P11 in the heat. So now we're into the pre-finals. It's 14 laps for the Mini Roks and the KF1 and GP50 boys. 16 for the experts, 16 for the juniors, and 18 for the seniors. There is kart 88, Max HOELLMANN. Will be starting from 13th. A couple of the drivers just sending each other hand signals. Timothy and EMILIANO. Well, it's not the most straightforward of formation laps so far, and they're really tight together now, though, as they come up into the finishing straight to find their tram lines of their boxes, if you like, and get ready to start. Now, if there's a chink in Timothy's armour, maybe it is the start, because QARRAR FIRHAND really gave him something to think about in the start of the heat. And we still await word as the yellow flag is out. So yellow flag. But now they are good to go, and go they do. And TIMOFEY has started well. Now, yellow flags. Now, I thought I did see a yellow flag. The yellow flags are still out. I think a couple of these boys are racing, but yeah, yellow flags out here. So the start's no good. I think maybe to their credit, they're just trying to keep the tires warm. But the yellow flag was out early there. I don't think it was ever a start. My apologies if I led you believe that was the case. And indeed, they are now reforming up. Quite sure what the issue was there. I think Chris is darting back to tell me with another tram line. Chris is the expert on the tram lines. Is that what he's coming back to tell me? Was that a tram line incident, Chris? Oh no, he's not. You've not come back to help me on what happened with the start. That you forgot your. What did you forget? You forgot your neck protector, chest protector. Well, thankfully Chris has got that, and I'm sure he was busy preparing for his race, which follows next. So, whatever the reason, the yellow flag is out. We haven't had this race started yet. So all eyes once more on the supreme Russian so far, Timothy, in kart 25. Can he be given something to think about by EMILIANO in kart 86? And the answer is yes. I think EMILIANO's taken him, and Timothy has dropped all the way down to third. Well, sensation here early on. What on earth has happened to the Russian? He's gone from first to fourth, I think. Let me just clarify my reading of that situation. As ever, it's quite difficult from our commentary position to get a reading. Have I misread that horribly? I think I have. I must apologise. I thought Timothy had dropped through the pack there. Very difficult to pick it up on our screen. Apologies to our Russian fans watching. You can calm right down. I misread that horribly. I think there was some movement. In fact, the movement was EMILIANO, CYRUS and NICOLAS STATI dropping down a spot. But there was no such problems for Timothy MIKHAYLOV. Do apologise. Picked that up wrong here in the commentary box. Just so difficult sometimes in the sunlight to see the numbers on the car. And I think I might have got the red card of EMILIANO confused with the red card of Timothy. And while Timothy has remained unscathed, several others haven't. NICOLAS STATI is up to second, dropping down EMILIANO from second to fourth. Aki's dropped down as well, and Taiyo VLIEGEN who, remember, had to start from the pit lane Taiyo. So it's far from a clean start, this, other than TIMOFEY. And who was I to doubt that he wouldn't be quick off the mark? I thought initially he might have been swamped. It wasn't to be, as now doing the chasing is NICOLAS STATI of Australia. And these two already opening up a sizable lead. And on the evidence of what we've seen so far, TIMOFEY is going to be very, very difficult to beat from here, even if there is more laps to reel him in with in this format. Now up to 14, of course, and 12 of them left still to go. Now the question is, Emiliano CYRUS was pulling off some really daring driving to reel in FIRHAND in the heat race. Is he going to do the same here? And speaking of FIRHAND, he's up to 5th, so he's moved up 2 places. There's been some movement on the board. Aki and Taiyo starting in the pit lane. I don't think that's the correct reflection of their grip position at the moment. I might be wrong. TIMOFEY at the moment not putting NICOLAS STATI away just yet. Instead, a long, long way to go. Half a second in it, just over. STATI to CYRUS is a full second, so the top two at this stage having it all their own way. And in terms of the little rockers, well, Martin Herrera is in 8th and FIRHAND up to 4th, and it'll be interesting to see if FIRHAND can get his revenge on Emiliano CYRUS after what happened in the heats, because that might be what his intention is. He's still got a second to make up, but he's found some excellent pace early, and Emiliano, his race went wrong a little early with that drop from 2nd to 4th in what was, I think, in hindsight, a dramatic start that I just misread, because certainly there was plenty of movement off the grid and there was some chopping and changing, but it was the man that started on pole that escaped the turmoil, and he's now knocking on the door of a sub 50-second lap. 50.710 in the last lap, his best so far. And now that table is levelling out as Taiyo and Aki begin to drop down, having started on pit lane, we believe. Just rode a couple of curbs there as we focus on this battle for 4th and 5th, with FIRHAND trying to fend off the renewed challenge of the Thai Aki. Meanwhile, FIRHAND has got in his sights the Thai, who's, I think, just taking his spot back. Yes. So FIRHAND drops back to 5th, having had that pocket pinch once more by the Thai. Certainly loads of raw ability in the youngster FIRHAND, but just a couple of times now in both the heat and this pre-final, he's done a lot of good work followed by a bit of bad work that's undone the good work. But he still looks like he's confident he might have a chance of hauling the Thai back in. Meanwhile, there's car 75, NICOLAS STATI. He's the man that's chasing MIKHAYLOV. But the gap now is almost 3/4 of a second. Here's QARRAR trying to get back at Aki. Goes through the inside. Can he get the gap? He's pushed him very wide, the Thai, but the Thai this time managed to ride it, and that's a carbon copy of what happened to QARRAR in the heats, but this time it was he that was pushing his opponent wide, not vice versa. And unlike the situation with him in the heats, his opponent managed to ride out the inconvenience there. So it's a ding-dong battle for 4th and 5th. Meanwhile, up front, TIMOFEY is extending the gap. NICOLAS STATI in 2nd. Now Emiliano CYRUS, who had the disappointment of being the main victim of what happened at the start, possibly self-inflicted anyway. He's now back up to third, but instead of whopping, well, in excess of a second and a half behind NICOLAS STATI, who in turn is knocking on the door of a second behind TIMOFEY. Car 99, Aki of Thailand, trying to fend off, and at the moment succeeding to fend off QARRAR, who has slowed down considerably after that attempt to overtake ended in disappointment. This man isn't slowing down though. If anything, he's getting faster. 50.514, and the gap now is over a second for the first time in the race. So, barring a disaster here, Russia's TIMOFEY MIKHAYLOV, you fancy, is going to clean up in this pre-final, and also, of course, secure pole position for the Mini Rok Cup Grand Final still to come. He's chasing shadows, isn't he? NICOLAS STATI. TIMOFEY MIKHAYLOV, just too good. And you have to say now, between the front five, there are sizable gaps between all of them. So this longer distance is separating the great drivers from the supreme drivers, I fancy. Inside the final 5 laps. And the only drama that TIMOFEY MIKHAYLOV has had in this race is probably if he managed to pick up a bit of my commentary on the PA, that I thought he'd been overtaken at the start when it wasn't the case. And it was in fact EMILIANO CYRUS that suffered the overtake, because he's not really had a moment's worry here, and the gaps are now sizable through this course. Another fastest lap time for TIMOFEY MIKHAYLOV, now 50.480. And he's going even faster on sector 1 on this lap. Why, oh my. Well, on this kind of form, is anyone going to have a prayer of laying a glove on TIMOFEY MIKHAYLOV in the Grid Start Grand Final, which for the Mini Rockers is scheduled for 3:44. Well, other than an excellent display from TIMOFEY, I regret to say nothing too much in the terms of overtaking excitement here. Although, hang on a second, is that QARRAR getting on the back of Aki again? I think it is. Well, is this youngster, not a mini rocker, a little rocker, QARRAR FIRHAND, going to have an attempt at getting past Aki again? They've exchanged that 4th spot now already on 3 occasions. And you can see from that shot that QARRAR is determined to make it a 4th occasion and get himself back up to 4th. And he's looking cool, he's looking calm, he's looking determined here. The only problem he's got, he's starting to run out of real estate to make the change. Now, he's suffered already trying to make the change and the overtake in that notorious corner that did for him, that's coming up very shortly. And let's see what the timings are. Well, and you can see from there it's practically shrunk now to what? 0.2 of a second almost between them. TIMOFEY is still in a class of his own. NICOLAS STATI appears to have no dangers for second. EMILIANO CYRUS in third, and Aki and QARRAR, I think, are the story in this going into the last lap. So, less than a lap to go, around about a lap to go now exactly for QARRAR and Aki. Still Aki in position of spot, but is QARRAR going to have a go and try and dive round him on this final lap of the 2020 Rok Cup Singapore opening round. In the mini rock category, it's the pre-final, and it's been dominated from flag fall to seemingly about to be finished by TIMOFEY MIKHAYLOV of Russia. He continues to go faster and faster. Best lap time of 50.429 seconds. And he can afford to absolutely coast in now. What an impressive drive this has been. TIMOFEY in a league and a class of his own. NICOLAS STATI for second. Now, EMILIANO CYRUS getting third. Question, of course, which we didn't see, is did QARRAR FIRHAND manage to get back up in front of Aki? And the answer is no. So TIMOFEY, what, provisional one. NICOLAS STATI provisionally second. EMILIANO CYRUS provisionally third. Aki provisionally fourth. QARRAR FIRHAND, the little rocker, in 5. Taiyo VLIEGEN in 6. Jacob LAUTER in 7. DILLAN in 8. STEFANO PEDANI in 9. Martin HERRERA in 10. Ivan TUGOLUKOV in 11. KATRINA E, sole female competing today. Another great drive from her. She's finished 10th in front of Germany's Max Hoellmann. And CONRAD GARROW of Arena Racing. That's the finishing order for the 14 drivers here in the Mini Rock and Little Rock pre-final. Stay with us. Up next, it's KF1 GP and GP50, including a chance to see the man who'll start in 7th, I think, on the grid. He's doing a wonderful job in commentary this afternoon. Chris Chu in action next in the KF1 GP and GP50 classes. Confirmation here of the finishing positions. Big win for TIMOFEY of Russia. He's going to be hard to beat in the grand final. Stay with us. KF1 and GP50 up next.